Okay, the reason I have to stop the video and start the video again is because of the momentary there was some glare, the sun glare, and it was getting on the way of the kind of glare into the like the lens of the camcorder, so kind of like I have to kind of block away the sun. Alright, so back to what I was saying. Okay, back to what I was saying about the conference. So I don't know, maybe I could have. I really don't like. I mean, you just have to go. Like I really, I back then I thought it was already felt like have enough of the criteria to be like a conference as club president. Back then I felt that way. Like, I mean, I really didn't like. That's how it was like. Like we kind of like going following the routine, and I felt maybe that is how like how other companies they having their conference, or other club they having their conference. Maybe that's how it's like and things like that. Really didn't question too much about it and things like that. Anyway, if you have any questions about what your point of view of what a conference like, you could leave me a feedback, and I will try to answer your feedback. But it's just I haven't got any feedback for a while, so I might not think anyone's leaving me any feedback. So I mean, I don't check it as often. I just kind of go with the assumption that I have, because I haven't got any feedback for a long time. So I'm just going with that assumption that probably not gonna get any feedback anytime sooner. So okay. Anyway, there's background activities going on, so I'm just gonna continue while the background activities going on. Anyway, so pretty much. Well, okay. Before I start on episode 3, I kind of like really just like I was just really kind of like because I have a lot of things to do and a lot of things to say, so I was kind of like really kind of like in a rush, in a hurry and everything. So I kind of like just like say, like it's already been 2 episodes and I haven't got started talking about step-by-step PTTS timeline. So it's like, okay, so this is how it's gonna start. So kind of like in a way, I did like a really quick, like some minutes, basically. I think like around maybe 10 minutes at most. Like I probably, just kind of like just push myself to just get started, because it's already been 2 episodes and I haven't got started on the step-by-step PTTS timeline. So basically on episode 2, I kind of just like, this is how it's gonna be like, and like, kind of just push myself to start talking about it. And so at the end of the episode, I said I'm gonna start over. On episode 3, I'm gonna start from the beginning, because I felt like I was just being rushed it to just have to start there, and so kind of like in a way, I'll start from the beginning, and when I start talking about step-by-step PTTS, let's start from the beginning again. Okay, so before I start on that, I just wanted to talk a little bit of the PTT exclusive first magazine. Okay, so anyway, this is how it looks like. The cover, that's the cover, you can see me. I took this picture back in 2013. Well, because, I don't know, like, I was just so, if you watched episode 2, I was saying that, well, kind of like in a way that I felt I was at the point of just self-criticize myself so much that I'm gonna do something I'm gonna regret for the rest of my life, and something like that. It felt like, I don't know, like I was at that point that I just have to self-criticize myself with anything I could thought of until I'm just gonna do something that I'm gonna regret for the rest of my life and things like that. So that's why I have to put this picture, because that's how I felt like back around that. PTTS started in 2012 and this picture is taken in 2013, so it's around that time when PTTS started. So that's how I felt like. So kind of like in a way, I created PTTS back in January 2012. So anyway, so that's why I select this picture. So kind of like in a way, you know, instead of just trying to, you know, self-criticize myself until like I'm just doing something that I would regret for the rest of my life, you know, just picture myself on the cover of a magazine, you know, just like, why don't I do that instead of self-criticizing myself until I do something that I will regret for the rest of my life, you know, it's like, so basically that's how I picture myself on the cover of on the cover of a magazine would look like. But I just couldn't, I didn't, back then I was just a lot, the adversity and bad luck constantly happening to me daily. There was just no way I would have that time to have to be on a magazine cover. But that was the only thing that was just, that could just get my mind away from just thinking of anything that I could self-criticize myself with, and just, you know, self-criticize myself with anything I could think of, kind of like in a way. That was the only way to get my mind away, you know, just picturing myself on a cover of a magazine. So that's why I selected this picture, because that's how I felt like back then. So this picture is me back in 2013. Okay, and the back cover. This is the back cover of. Okay, the lights turn off. I don't know how well can you see it, but hopefully it'll turn out to be okay. Alright, so this is the back cover. I mean, I posted it up on my blog. Well, it's gonna be posted up on my blog this coming up Friday. Let me check the day. The coming up Friday is on. So this Friday, February 6th. Friday, February 6th, I'm gonna post up the magazine cover and back cover. So basically, you're gonna see this on my PTTS blog this coming up Friday on February 6th. My PTTS blog address is tumblr.com/PTTS 2023. So, and you could also see my PTTS exclusive flyer. It's already posted up. So if you go to that flyer, and on the right side of the flyer, top right side, you can see all the date that I will be posting up the magazine pages. So kind of like in a way, well, if pages that have a lot of illustration, I only post up with 1 to 3 page. Kind of like in a way like this coming up Friday, the cover and back cover count as one post. So usually, I don't know, like so usually the post would be like around 5 to 10 magazine pages. So if there's a lot of illustration, then it would be like around 1 to 3 pages. Okay, so again, this is how the flyer looks like, and you could also go to my PTTS blog to download the flyer if you want to. I put some time to try to make it look organized and everything. Okay, and as for my fundraising PTTS fundraising flyer, this is how it looks like, and basically the title is Fundraising Candy Assortment. Well, okay, I try to do like the copyright. I don't know if I do it correctly or not. No one have really shown me how to do it correctly before the copyright. So I'm just trying to read it out loud and see. I don't know, maybe someone might give me some advice on it and things like that. So basically, I just kind of like flip through some of the magazine where they have a copyright section in the magazine, and kind of just use that and just go with that. Like I'm saying, no one had really give me advices on how to do copyright, so I just go with that. I don't know if you have some advices you want to give me, then leave me a feedback and things like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna read it out loud. The Independence Company PTTS is created by Neng Lam, copyright 2026 Neng Lam, all right reserved. Nothing that appears in PTTS may be reproduced in whole or in part without express written permissions from Neng Lam, copyright owner. PTTS is a registered trademark. I hope I could be like. Basically, that's how the copyright kind of ended, but the rest I kind of just added in to it to kind of like explain that I'm new to this, and no one really haven't give me advices on how to do the copyright properly and the correct way and things like that. That's why I add this extra sections to it to kind of explain that. So I'm just gonna read that part, the extra section part also. I hope I could be like copyright owners Nintendo of America Inc. and Wizard of the Coast Inc. because they market and license Pokemon trading card game. I hope the laws enforcing the copyright, trademark, and registration would also protect PTTS. I hope there are acceptance and forgiveness for not knowing all the laws and business laws. SDSU is known for business major. If I have a business major degree in SDSU, then I could save myself from a lot of pains. I hope someone would tell me how to abide by the laws and properly register my copyright. For now, please read my apology and PTTS agenda. Independent company, unofficial, homemade, and self-marketing. The idea of creating this PTTS seal of quality came from reading the copyright sections in magazines that have a copyright sections. Also, it is an imitation of Nintendo of America Inc. seal of quality. So basically, that's the seal of quality, and it's an imitation of Nintendo Inc. of America. So that is the copyright sections, and it will also be in the PTTS exclusive magazine that would have like a section for the copyright also. Okay, and I'm gonna read the apology that I wrote in the PTTS exclusive magazine out loud right now, just like so that you know what it's like. Anyway, okay, my apology. I have no feedback on my PTTS blog for 9 years. 2016 to current 2026. I need feedback on my PTTS blog because without feedback it is very confusing. Kind of in parentheses, I also have the address for my PTTS blog, which is tumbll.com/PTTS 2023. Okay, I'm gonna continue reading my apology. Conference solution. People gave me a chance to be at a conference with a crowd of people. In the conference, I would apologize for what happened. Also, I would talk about why I created PTTS exclusive first magazine. I would argue that the conference solution is available to people who have important things to say. Vice versa, I should be expecting a conference because I have important things to say. The following are the reasons why I have no feedback and why I don't have the conference solution. Number 1, people didn't notice my PTTS blog because PTTS is an independent company, unofficial, homemade, and self-marketing. That is why I have no feedback on my PTTS blog. The no feedback could be argued as no one know about me, including my situation and PTTS. Number 2, the argument is my situations have made me very insignificant. I'm very insignificant could be argued as I'm a nobody, nothing, and worthless person who doesn't deserve to live in San Diego. The following is my apology. I'm sorry. The argument is I have low income family status and immigrant status, so I should have put my focus on the USA education to make up for having those status. This argument will continue on until someone make an act of mercy on me by driving a car into me and kill me at the scene, or I committed suicide. Another scenario, no one made that act of mercy on me by driving a car into me and kill me at the scene, or it is too hard for me to commit suicide. Okay, I'm just gonna pause it for a minute. There's some background activities going on right now, as you can hear, like the noise on the background. So I'm trying to speak a little bit louder so that it could be, so you could hear me over the background noises on the background. Okay, so I just want to point that out. Okay, back to my apology. The following are my reasons to continue on living when living is very hard. For the last 9 years, I have been complaining about my situations and reaching out to the world for help through posting up posts regularly on my PTTS blog, including creating PTTS exclusive first magazine. I would argue if I have a child, son or daughter, then that child could read my PTTS blog and PTTS exclusive first magazine instead of me making an act of mercy on that child by kill that child so he or she don't have to be in the following situations. I'm being tormented daily by constantly having arguments against me daily, constantly being rushed by the world daily, and the world constantly creating problems to me daily, so that I don't have enough time to deal with all those arguments against me. So basically that is the apology that I made. So kind of like in the beginning of the PTTS exclusive first magazine, I would kind of like have that apology like right at the beginning. Okay, so anyway, alright, so I'm gonna begin. Okay, just gonna show the cover again a little bit. The PTT exclusive first magazine cover again. Alright, so you could see like on the title PTTS and unofficial trading card game guy. Okay, anyway, like I was saying earlier, like I was saying that it was kind of like this, more or less just to, you know, I felt I did really step up my management, you know, taking on all those different leadership responsibility and duty, especially being a club president, Mesa Multimedia Club, for 4 years from 2008 to 2011. That could argue as official because it is inside the Mesa, San Diego Mesa College campus, and there are like the student service office that is monitoring all the activities that we have to turn in the paperwork, you know, like the club have to turn in the paperwork each semester, and like how the club doing and all of that. So kind of like in a way, you could argue it as like an official club and things like that. Okay, so kind of like in a way, I felt that it just, why I have to think of all the, just have to criticize when anything, self-criticize myself when anything I could thought of at that point of time, kind of like in a way, it was just, so, that's why, like I was saying, I kind of like just get my mind away from all of that and say, I'm gonna be on a cover of a magazine, instead of just start self-criticizing myself with all the things I could, anything I could come up with. So instead of doing that, I just kind of like, picture that I would be on the cover of a magazine, which I felt like maybe it was just, it probably, I don't know, like back then I just so much, adversity and bad luck constantly happening to me daily. It's just like, I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but it was just something to get my mind away from all the, the self-criticism that of my at myself, So, but right, yeah, like right, so kind of like in a way, that's why I used this picture, because that like I was saying, I just like, okay, I'm gonna, I'm gonna be like on the cover of a magazine and something like that. But like I wrote on the cover of the magazine, I'm gonna read this part. First time on magazine, PTTS exclusive first magazine. This entire magazine is one person production. Last chance to acceptance and forgiveness on one person could only do so much. So that is like in bold text, like here in bold text, what I just read. So kind of like in a way, on the cover, it was just, so kind of like in a way, PTT's first time being on magazines, kind of like in a way. Well, like, I, maybe it's just kind of like in a way that I wasn't exactly lying to myself back then, that I would be on the cover of the magazine and things like that. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna begin now. So, I just wanna give myself a little moment of just kind of like taking a few breaths of air and things like that. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna begin now. So, the step-by-step PTTS timeline. Alright, so it is on January 2012. That was the day that I created PTTS. So this is how it started. Basically, like, okay, so pretty much a lot just gonna be repeat what I was saying on episode 2, how it started, because like I was saying, I'm gonna start from the beginning. So